This video is about two fairly simple issues in logic, and two terms that we've been introduced to, I think, in this chapter, and that is conjunction and disjunction. Conjunction and disjunction are just the logical terms for, on the one hand, and sentences, or and statements, I should say, and or statements. Conjunction is just putting two or more propositions together. There's a proposition, I like Mary. Here's another one. Two different propositions. They can be stated as one proposition, or they can be made into one proposition, which would be the conjunction of the two. Simplest thing in the world. Absolutely. Nothing complicated about that. The only thing to keep in mind is that we start out with two propositions, and then we link them together, and we really come up with one proposition in the end. That is, think about it in terms of truth conditions. These two propositions up here have different truth conditions than this single proposition right here. I like Mary is true if indeed, in reality, I like Mary, and that's what makes it true. Mary likes me is true if indeed, in reality, Mary likes me. Whereas the conjunction, I like Mary and Mary likes me, is only true when both I like Mary and Mary likes me are true. So you can think of it in terms of truth conditions. If either one of these elements is false, then the statement or proposition as a whole is false. I don't think that that's really very complicated, is it? Conjunction, or linking propositions together, is a pretty simple, elementary thing that we do. And it's pretty clear that this statement here, again, or this proposition here, I like Mary and Mary likes me, is only true when both of those things hold. That is, if either one is false, if Mary doesn't like me, or if I don't like Mary, then the proposition as a whole is false, because what it's stating is that both of these things are true. So if either one of them is false, even if one of them is true, then the statement as a whole is false. I don't think there's anything terribly tricky about that. The ambiguities come into play with disjunction, or statements. Again, if we start with our two independent statements or independent propositions, we can link them together to make a disjunction. So I like Mary or Mary likes me is the disjunct of I like Mary, Mary likes me. So this is where, again, this is where the ambiguities come in, and this is where I would say logic, formal logic, at least modern formal logic, and you might say the logic of ordinary discourse really go their separate ways. This is sort of ambiguous by nature, a statement like this, I like Mary or Mary likes me. Maybe if we say something like this, that's actually a command, isn't it? Let's make it into a proposition. I will go to the left, or I will. That sounds like it's an either or, but not both, right? That is, it sounds like, I mean, just, in ordinary context, and context is everything, I guess, when you're trying to make this sort of decision, I will go to the left or I will go to the right, seem to be mutually exclusive. That is, if I go to the left, I can't go to the right. And if I go to the right, I can't go to the left, and that would seem to be the exclusive or, which is, again, in ordinary discourse, is oftentimes the meaning of using or making a disjunction. That is, it would mean either one or the other, but not both. That is a well established and sort of inescapable meaning of or the intention, at least, when we use the or make a disjunction in ordinary discourse. That is, I will go to the left or I will go to the right. Well, I'll either go to the left or I will go to the right, but I will not both go to the left and the right. It would be impossible. Right? So it's sort of well established in ordinary discourse, again, that using the or sometimes has a basic exclusive sense. But of course, then there is the so-called inclusive or. Here's a statement: you can have coffee or tea. Now, that might be ambiguous. Maybe the person who's telling you this means you can have one or the other, but not both. But I think that it would be just as plausible to say that you can have coffee, or you can have tea, or you can have both coffee or tea, and that would be the inclusive sense of or. That is, either one or the other, or possibly both. That sense of or, the inclusive sense of or, is the sense that is the one that's chosen for modern logic. Bennett tells us that before modern logic, and modern logic really starts in the late 19th century, mid to late 19th century, and is associated with a philosopher named Gottlob Frege, who more or less sort of set out the rules of modern logic. So sort of before, let's say the late 19th century, before the late 1800s, there might have been some ambiguity about what sense of or which interpretation of the disjunction was the one that sort of was the standard one in logic, but the one that won was the inclusive or. That is, whenever you see or used in modern logic, it's in the inclusive sense. So, and that sense in which either one, if you say, if I say again, that disjunction is true if either I like Mary or Mary likes me is true. It's also true if both I like Mary and Mary likes me. So the truth conditions are different, and that's the thing to keep in mind. And in the inclusive or, when is this disjunction true? It's true if I think they're called disjuncts. So it's not the exclusive or, it's the inclusive or. So you could say that with the exclusive or, that the disjunction is only true when one of the disjuncts, either I like Mary or Mary likes me, is true. That is also true of the inclusive sense, but the inclusive or is also true if both are true. That is, they're not mutually exclusive. So, so then what are the truth conditions, or the conditions under which this statement here, I like Mary or Mary likes me, is true? Well, it's true as a whole. It's true if this is true. That makes the whole thing true. Or it's true if this is true. That makes the whole thing true. Or it's true if this is true.